Bine v-am regăsit la un nou episod Inspiring Stories. Astăzi, așa cum am mai avut în istoricul nostru, vom vorbi în engleză. Avem un invitat care crede în România, care este prezent în tot ce se întâmplă în piața din România, în mediul de antreprenori din România, dar vine din Grecia. Ne-am dorit totuși foarte mult să-l avem aici, să vă arătăm cât de mult poate să schimbe România un străin, un om care poate ar fi putut să rămână în țara lui și să schimbe ceva acolo, totuși a optat pentru a veni și pentru a face o schimbare aici. Sotiris este cel care reprezintă CEO Clubs Romania. Persoanele care dețin un business trebuie să fie la curent cu ultimele noutăți din afaceri, însă ce îl ajută pe antreprenor să evolueze de la an la an este un mediu propice în care se poate dezvolta atât ca afacerist, dar și ca om. Pornind de la această idee, în anul 2009, CEO Clubs a fost fondat, iar acest lucru are ca scop îmbunătățirea calității și a rentabilității întreprinderilor prin experiențe comune și creștere personală. Unul dintre cei care au făcut o reală diferență în această organizație este Sotiris, vicepreședintele Clubului de Antreprenori din Europa. El a fost parte integrantă în întemeierea capitolului grec, iar în prezent conduce capitolul românesc, având sediul la București. Sotiris a fost alături de CEO Clubs Europa încă de la înființare, iar cu ajutorul lui, după fondarea în 2011 a capitolului românesc, acesta a devenit unul dintre cei mai importanți poli de conducere din țară. În 2011, clubul era prezent în Europa, doar în Grecia, iar Sotiris a încercat să-l lanseze în Bulgaria și România în paralel, însă piața din România părea mult mai ofertantă și a decis, din lipsă de timp, să renunțe la Bulgaria. România reprezenta opțiunea firească din multe motive. De exemplu, Bucureștiul este un loc unde putea ajunge într-o oră și jumătate din Atena. Apoi a contat dimensiunea pieței, precum și instinctul său. Sotiris deține o diplomă de licență de la Colegiul American al Greciei, de master în marketing internațional și de MBA de la Universitatea din Sunderland, Marea Britanie. Până în prezent a deținut mai multe funcții de conducere în sectorul bancar și IT, precum și în companiile comerciale. A publicat mai multe articole despre leadership, organizații de angajare în extracție și învățare. În prezent, el scrie pentru ediția greacă a Vieții inteligente a economistului. Welcome and thank you very much for being here.
Mulțumesc pentru invitație.
As I introduced you and I tried to make a small resume about your activity and how you got here, but it's more important to hear from you. So the first question for me would be how you started or how you got in this project with CEO, first Europe and after that Romania.
By accident. No, that's the real story. After many years in corporate positions, I quit in 2009 that job that I had then, and it was this situation that I couldn't take it anymore. So without having something new, I said, okay, I have to leave. And that was the period with Lehman Brothers and everything, so it was pretty tough back then already. It started, the deep crisis had started in Greece. And I remained unemployed for 4 months. And I have to admit that it was my son, my newly born son, that really saved me from insanity back then, because it was quite a disappointing experience for me. And I still remember that morning that I woke up and I looked myself in the mirror and I said, you know what? That you don't deserve that. You need to do something. And I had an offer from a friend of mine who had started his own business to go and help him set up the commercial part of the business, but without pay. So imagine that, I was in my 40s.
Broke.
And I had to actually, so I called him and I said, is the position still vacant? And he told me yes, but I remind you, the pay, very good friend of mine, okay, so joking, he said the pay is 1 kovrig and 1 coffee.
Oh, yeah.
I said, okay, no problem, but in a nice way. So, Monday morning, I shaved, I put on my suit again, I felt like I was reborn. So I started helping him, and one morning, he called me on my way to the office, and he said, I'm stuck in the bank, I'm expecting a lady. please keep her company for a couple of minutes until I come. Indeed, I went to the office, bell rang, a lady came in, and we chatted for half an hour. Then my friend came, they went into the meeting room, I went back to my office, my desk, and that was it. And 2 hours later, the door opens, this lady comes directly in front of my desk. I remind you, it was the first time I met her in my life. And she tells me, I'm looking for a general manager for the first CEO Clubs in Europe, and I think you're my guy. And as I was sitting on the desk, I looked at her and I was thinking, what the hell is CEO Clubs? Who are you? I mean, what is this, you know? And indeed, 2 days later, I went to her office. We agreed in 20 minutes. I had no clue what CEO Clubs was all about. It took me like a year to realize the depth of what we are there for. Without knowing it, I entered into the most transformational year in my life because I had to change the way I was working, I had to change the way I was thinking. I started coaching, I started discovering things about me, I started working with myself, you know, everything in one shot, in 1 year. Plus the fact that very soon we realized with Georgia, who today is my partner, that the model that we had received from the Americans was not so much applicable in Europe. Why? Because there the mix of members is 80% entrepreneurs and 20% professional CEOs, whereas in Greece and in Athens and Bucharest, as far as we know, it's the exact opposite. So the things that the Americans were kind of selling to their members were not working anymore. So during that year, on top of everything else, we also had to reinvent
the strategy.
You know, what to offer to people. So we become something attractive. Plus the crisis, plus the preconception of the market that, you know, we're not Americans, and I don't know whether as Greeks we are into that sharing mode and everything, you know. And so that year was, in my opinion, the most, you know, how can I say, crowded and meaningful year that changed me in many ways. And I think that was the year that also prepared me for next year's decision to join, to come here and start this club in Bucharest from zero. So, yeah, sorry for the long story, but, you know.
This is the idea to find out why.
Yeah.
And how came the idea with Romania?
The idea, I always wanted to work abroad and to try myself. So that was the basis. I had this chance when I was working for Canon Europe, but I didn't take it. And I was kind of feeling that that was my last chance, you know, I had to do something. So after I felt, you know, safe that I knew the job, I talked to my partner and we decided, she was very supportive and she said, you know what, if you really think you can make it, go ahead and I'll support you. So I also had a friend and member of the club in Athens who had just started his business, a subsidiary of his business in Bucharest. And he also said, you know what, come with me, you know, next week and check it out. See how you feel about the place. And I still remember that the first time I landed in Otopen, I looked around and I thought to myself, you know, something good is going to happen here. I like this place. And as you can imagine, I had no clue where I am, okay? It was the first time. And indeed, something very good happened. So although it was my first time in Romania, I didn't know people. It took me like 8 months to, you know, continuous trips here, continuous meetings. I remember I was going to Hilton and I would have like 10 consecutive meetings. I couldn't speak at night. I didn't have any voice.
Yeah.
Finally, in October 2011, we officially launched and we officially, you know, opened the club. And turned out that it was a very good decision because in 2 years, after 2 years, we had already 100 members.
In 2 years?
Yeah, which was, in my opinion, you know, very fast growth.
And today, how many members?
Today we're 155 members, and we have decided, we have been 155 for the last 2.5 years almost, because it's our decision to keep it there. Mm-hmm. Because it's very important for us, for the involvement and the engagement of the members, it's very important for most of them to know most of the rest. So us becoming a, chaotic organization, sometimes I use this metaphor, it's like when you go to a restaurant and you open the menu and you have like 20 choices, you're like, I don't want to spend time. Whereas when you have 6 or 8,
it's much easier and you'll be much happier.
you're like, okay, let me spend time now. I like that. Okay, so, and what we have seen from the satisfaction surveys that we're running every year is that familiarity, knowing the people who have already confirmed their presence to an event, is one of the top 3 reasons for somebody to join a meeting, besides after the speaker and the topic. So maybe higher than those. So we have decided that 155 is okay. 70% of our members are Romanians, 30% expats, 13 different nationalities, so it's like a
Mix.
quite mixed group. 80% of them lead multinational companies, 20% lead our own local businesses. Total turnover of the businesses is more than 12 billion euros. Thousands of people who are hard to find these days. And more or less, these are the demographics of the group.
What you search in a member for CEO Club? What is important for you to check if somebody would be accepted?
In my presentation to people when I meet them, there is one point where everybody smiles. Is when I describe the profile we're looking for, and I tell them that we are looking for normal people. So that's my answer. We are looking for normal people, and normality for us is the people who, no matter how much money they make or what is the turnover of the business, they are leaders who don't feel they have something to prove to anybody else, because when we meet in a room, by default, everybody is successful. So what's the point? Plus, they know they have to play a role like every day. So what we tell them, these 2 hours, just leave your role outside the door and just be yourselves here. We are looking for leaders who are into continuous learning, because we organize like 23 meetings a year with 1 or more speakers. So by default, one needs to be in this mood. Definitely leaders who are willing to share their knowledge and experience, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. And as I said, people who are modest, people who are, they're okay with themselves, They're polite, they know what respect means, and this is our only rule, respecting one another. And this is what we're looking for, in the sense that the club is a sum of people, There are no products, there's no service. We are selling an experience, right?
Yeah.
And the experience comes from the impression you will get after you sit in a table with another 10 people who you didn't know before, and the way they act, the way they behave, the atmosphere, the friendliness that you will feel will give you will help you make up your mind as whether this is something good for you. So it's all about people. It's not about the turnover. Personally, I don't care if the turnover is 200 million euros. It's the same for me as the one of an entrepreneur that makes 3. So the question is, what kind of person you are, how much involved you want to be, and how much you want to share. And if these things are there, then numbers don't matter. It's people that matter all the time.
How do you see the business community in 2011, when you started the CEO Clubs, and now? How it's changed, in better, in worse? How it evolved?
I think, okay, I'm an optimist, so I see only development, growth,
Yes.
Definitely people are more open. There is a new generation of entrepreneurs, like you guys, so very successful people who see entrepreneurship from a different perspective. They are into sharing, they are into learning all the time. As I remember, 2011 was 3 years after the crisis, people were kind of, I wouldn't say scared, but they were like, okay, let's see, you know, which in my opinion was a good thing, because there's always good out of anything negative.
Yeah.
The market was clear. Many people who shouldn't be here had left.
Yes.
So it's definitely a different market. I would mainly point out all these new, younger entrepreneurs who have come up, and they have changed, in my opinion, the scenery. The multinationals have always been multinationals, and but it's the entrepreneurship that has changed the rules of the game for the better. And there are many examples of brilliant people who have done great things, and at the same time they are humble enough, they are normal people, they, their first care is not to buy a Bentley. It's to invest in something, to learn more, to share more. And that's great, I think.
What would be your Wikipedia explanation for entrepreneurship, for Romanian entrepreneurship? How you describe the ones that are now entrepreneurs?
Look, I'm a Greek doing business in Romania, right? So because of that, I don't see it being country specific. Okay, I have to admit, I haven't done business anywhere else, so I wouldn't know. But I think that the challenges of an entrepreneur are more or less the same. Or if not the same, analogical, if I don't know if that's the right word. In the sense that here, for example, you may be facing challenges with, I don't know, infrastructure maybe, or changes in the tax system, continuous changes and everything. In another country, you will be facing other issues, but of kind of an equal, importance. So I don't see entrepreneurship being so much, nation specific, place specific. I think entrepreneurship is the same thing. Is that sweet pain you feel in your stomach, the fact that there are some nights you cannot sleep, there are some days that you cannot do enough to share how happy you are about a success, and how proud you are. It's this contradicting, all these contradicting feelings, So I wouldn't focus on the country. There are challenges, but at the same time, you know what? Behind every challenge, there is an opportunity.
Yes,
and that's why we're here. Otherwise, maybe we wouldn't be here. There wouldn't be place for people like me and you here. I don't know. There is, so why not?
I know that CEO Club is not about just meetings between CEOs or entrepreneurs. You also have a lot of projects that are part of helping Romania, of growing Romania. Tell me a little bit about them.
I'm very happy you didn't name them CSR projects, because I don't like this term. I believe that it is our duty, not obligation, as leaders, if we consider ourselves leaders, that is, to give back and to contribute, to help people by inspiring them. And so, in every way we can, we are helping the society, we are helping individuals. We have this project called CEOs Back to School for the last 2.5 years. We've met more than 2,500 kids already. Yesterday we were at a school in Giulest. And what we want to do is to help the kids, I don't know how to say it, to help them realize what life really is, and to share our stories, but the authentic story. So we go there and we don't have any, boring corporate presentations to bore them to death, because kids are like, you lose them in 3 minutes. That's it. We go there with no presentation, no preparation, just to share and to tell them the bright parts of our stories, of our journeys, and the not so bright, because they need to know. The time where a leader should be invincible and should tell only the
good things,
the
nice things.
Politically correct things, I think is long gone.
Yeah.
Want it or not, we are living in times of reality. Okay, so the least we can do is to be honest and authentic with them and to help them get inspired by the reality of our lives, not by just the success or the whatever that is, and to get over the preconceptions that they may have, which are more or less the same that we also grew up with. That, you know, for example, I always ask them, I say, okay, you see, it's me and 2-3 members of ours, and I point to our members and I say, what do you think about these people? What kind of students you think they were? As you can imagine, most of them say, they were A students. I tell them, guess what? Some of them weren't.
Yes.
Some of them were terrible students.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that there is a recipe that says if you're a good student, you'll be successful, or a bad student, you'll be a failure. No. During the course of their lives, they did things, additional things. They found inspiration in some things. They were able to combine their passion with what they were doing. And life led them somewhere, and now they can claim they are successful and they are as happy as they can be in what they're doing. So, you know, it's quite complicated. I mean, my son is 10 years old and I'm trying to tell him all these things. It's not always easy. Plus, you know, we learn by experience. This is human nature. So no matter what you and I tell them, they need to feel it on their skin and realize and get the lesson. But I think this is a good thing. And, you know, it has the value of it is the personal involvement of the people who are joining. I always say that we can leave on that table 200 lay bills, and if we leave the room, they have the exact same value, right? But if we come back to the room and you touch yours and I touch mine, they have different value. Because it's us making the difference, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same that's why I don't like CSR as a term. Not that, okay, good things are happening, I'm not saying, but I believe in personal involvement. And when you want to change something, you need to be there and you need to participate and you need to put your heart in it and go out there and motivate. Yesterday, a kid told me that a student there said, you know what, I want to open my own business. I asked him, what kind of business? And he said, I want to make a funeral parlor. Not the business that you hear like every day, right? And in the end, because we go there and we give them books. I always give Rich Dad, Poor Dad because it's the book that really got me started, you know? And I told him, listen, man, take this. I really believe in you. And after 5 years, 10 years, when you have like, 20 stores all over the country, you come and find me. And he was like, okay, this is our role, to help them realize what they can do. Maybe they can, maybe they cannot, but you know what? You never know until you inspire somebody. And we are doing it because we would wish, when we were kids, to have something like this, you know? And somebody to come and tell us something authentic. So, and by the way, this project started by accident.
How? Whose idea was it? Or?
Like 2.5 years ago, one afternoon, the brother of one of our colleagues, Aura, he came to pick her up. And she wasn't ready, so she brought him to my office to get us introduced. 17 years old. What do you ask a 17-year-old kid? Like, what do you want to do in life?
Standard questions.
Standard questions, yeah. And we had a very typical dialogue, like, I want to do this, but I'm not sure because they tell me it's difficult. And, whenever I hear that, I'm saying, no, man, you can do whatever you want. And if you really want it, and this and that, and here's a book, and on the way back, he told his sister, my colleague, he said, it would be great if we would have people like Sotiris coming to our school to talk to us, a public high school in Bucharest. So she came back to me next day and she said, would you consider doing it with some members? I said, yeah, why not? Sounds crazy enough, let's do it. And they went to the principal of that school, and the principal denied. I don't know why. She said, it's not for us. But luckily enough, their mother is a teacher to another school in Bucharest. So as soon as she heard that we are willing to do that, she said, you know, you're coming to our school. And then I gathered a bunch of 4 crazy CEOs. Gabi Pantelimon, the previous CEO of Xerox, Dan Stefan from Autonom, and I said, guys, there is this, you want to go? How shall we do it? I said, okay, who cares? Let's go there and we'll find out.
See.
You know, we are smart enough, we'll think of something. And so we went there, and the only thing we decided was to have as an opening line why we think it's so cool not knowing what to do in life. Because I thought that would help the kids connect to us, you know. And, you know, like every beginning was awkward at the beginning, but then we enjoyed so much. We spent 2 hours with 120 kids in Scoala Centrală, and then we said, okay, that was cool, let's do it again. And then we asked our members and we said, guys, can you put us in contact with the schools you graduated from? We don't care where they are, we don't care if they are private, public, it's fine. And then they started, you know, and now being the 3rd year of this, there are schools that invite us year after year. So it's nice, and we have always like 20 members applying for a school. So every time, you know, it's like first come, first serve. And the beauty of it is that the combination is completely random. So you get all these different characters.
Different experiences.
There is a great dynamic, you know, with the audience and this and that, and yeah, it's fine. It's one of the best projects, most rewarding.
There is an issue here that I would like to see if you think about it or you have an option for it. From my point of view, you go there, you speak with them, you inspire them. They say, okay, let's do it. But what is happening when they are going at home? Did you think about it, or did you talk with them about this thing, how they are working this at home and how they convince their families to go along with them, with this new path?
Thank you for asking that. 3-4 weeks ago, we visited the American school. We had a very nice meeting with the kids there, my first time to that school. And one of these great people there who actually invited us and all that, she asked me, she said, would you consider talking to the parents of the kids? And I thought to myself, okay, why not? We haven't done it before, you know? Which of course would be a completely different audience for us, to which I have no answer as to whether we would have something to add to. It's pretty difficult for us to keep, you know, the way we have to keep contact with the kids after we leave a school is we give them all our contact details. They can directly contact us for whatever they need, and sometimes they do.
This is a lot for them to know directly and to have contact with that person.
Yeah, and one of the things that we tell them, and I personally point out every time, is that you guys need to ask. If you want things in your life, you need to be not afraid to ask, because there are more people around you who are willing to help you than you think they are. And plus, if somebody tells you no, don't take it personally. It's not about you. You know, by the way, there is a great TED talk from a Chinese guy called, I think, 100 Ways to Overcome Rejection. If you haven't watched it, I completely recommend. And so some of them, they come back and they're asking us to help them with projects, to help them invite people or find internships, or, you know, several things. Some of them we can do, some others we are looking for people who can do it. It's not easy to keep up as to what is happening after the meeting. At least we haven't found a way yet. And please think that these people are on the last, because we are meeting the kids from the last 2 classes of high school. Yeah. So half of them we will not be able to find next year. That's why we are trying to be as impactful as possible during these 2 hours. And sometimes, trust me, you know, they come back right after the meeting and they say things that are amazing. To the French school, we've been again very recently, and I always finish with, you know, I urge kids to, I tell them 10 years ago I was just a son. Since 10 years now I'm also a father. So now I know both sides. And what I urge them to do is to, you know, love their parents, although they have already made thousands of mistakes with them, and they will make another 1,000 in the future. Because whatever they make as parents, their only motive is endless love, nothing else. And because this is something that I realized as well being a father now. And this is at the end, and during the discussion, a girl had asked me, how do you balance, because I commute, my family is in Athens, and every Friday I fly back, every Monday I fly in. So she asked me, how do you balance with your life? And I explained to her that it's very difficult. Sometimes it's very difficult because you need to have a very strong character to step in two boats, because you come from a place where people know you from a lifetime, and you work in a place where people just met you a few years ago and you are somebody else, you know. It's pretty, and
difficult to manage.
Difficult to manage. And this 1.5 hours of flight back home or back to work is like the Superman's phone booth, you know, that he was entering as Clark Kent and was coming out as Superman, you know, this kind of, because you need to set your mind to land as a different person. So, and I explained to her that this can be really pretty challenging. And after we finished, she came to me and she said, thank you very much, congratulations, blah, blah, and thank you for allowing me to realize what my father went through for 4 years, who was flying 6 hours every weekend to come back home just to see them. And she was she took it for granted back then, but now she realized how important, how difficult that was for him. And she told me, you know, I'm going home to tell him I love you. And to me, that was a fantastic, there's no better thing to hear, you know. If you have managed to touch somebody.
Change somebody's life.
So, yeah, if she's listening, if she's watching the video, good job.
Talking about this project, Back to School, what is your opinion about mentors and mentees? Because it's a new thing in Romania now. There are a few people that are open to this, not so many yet. How do you see it, and how do you think it's helping or not?
I think that as long as it's happening and both parties are fully into it and they build a rapture, you know, a bond, it's amazing. If it's just something that, you know, I was assigned to you, so we need to meet once a month and okay, we meet and we tick a box, it's a waste of time. So I think it lies to the people. If there is chemistry, this can be a bond that can be a lifetime one. So yeah, I'm very much for, as long as there is involvement, there is commitment, and one really is really looking to help the other, because both the mentee and the mentor are helping each other. It's not a one-way thing. So yeah, by all means.
One of the most important questions from this project is why Romania? Because usually we talk here with Romanians that chose not to leave Romania and to work on this country project and to believe in it. In your case, it's even more rewarding to see that somebody from abroad chose to stay here, to change something, to make a better education for the business environment in Romania, and to believe a lot in people that are here. Why you do it?
I can give you many answers. Okay, I'll give you only the honest one, okay? The main answer is I don't know. Okay, let's take it from the beginning. It's very complicated.
Take your time. You have it.
When it started being an option for me, I have to admit that proximity was very important.
Of course.
Okay, because I have a family, my son was 3 years old, I had never been abroad, so I wanted something that was close enough to Athens so I can test it. Okay, because obviously my family is above my job. And so for me, proximity was very important. Another very important factor was the introduction. That friend that I mentioned, Alex, who actually said, you know what, come with me. It's very important, even to the first, second trip somewhere, to have somebody to, you know, it's not like you don't start from zero, you start from 0.1. So for me, that was the beginning. The main thing that kept me here was my denial to fail, because I have this problem. And by the way, I have failed like 1 million times, okay? But I still don't accept it. And the people I met here, because as I said for the club, everything is about the people. I mean, you before starting this interview, you were telling me about your friend in Kavala, right? Him being such a cool person creates your opinion about Greeks, right? So if you think it's in fact, it's absurd. You cannot have an opinion about a whole population because of one person. But this is how we operate as human beings.
Yeah.
So for me, finding here people who never made me feel as a foreigner, never made me feel like an outsider, opened the door immediately as soon as we met, was very important, because I felt welcome. And for an expat, this is really, really important. And you don't get it everywhere. Okay, there are societies that, for their own reasons and traditions or whatever, it's not as easy to enter. Romanians are you guys are very open. We are very much alike, so
yes.
You know, I shouldn't be saying that. So for me, that was very important. That, very, very important. Plus, the fact that I realized that there is business for us here. Okay, so when I saw that there is room for us, and the people and the environment was on our side, then there was not so much question as to whether to do it, to continue. So I have to admit it was a pretty challenging beginning, but a very easy decision for me. So yeah, that's people. If one word, it's people.
It's easy decision or not, because you have to split between your personal life that it's in Athens and your professional life that it's here. So it's a big decision for a country to have expats like this that are willing to share their life in two parts.
Okay, for sure it wasn't an easy decision. What we did with my wife was that when this came up, we sat down and I told her, listen, after we leave this discussion, whatever we have agreed to do, if we agree that I go, you will never question that. And if we agree that I stay, that I don't go, I will never blame you for not going. Are we cool? If we are cool, let's start this discussion. And when you have a family and you know very well, it's very important how aligned you are with your partner. And okay, I have to admit I'm very lucky to that, in my life. And we agreed that this is something that's good for us as a family. We knew that it was going to be challenging, but we also at the same time trusted ourselves that we can make it. And 7 years later, I can tell you that we made the right decision. So
everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy, yeah. And if you ask my wife about the secret of the successful marriage, she will answer you, he's away 5 days a week. So, it works.
And what about your son?
My boy is 10 years old, and
How is he going with this type of decision? Because,
Yeah.
okay, it was between you and your wife, but there is a third.
I think that, you know, kids, they are programmed based on the applications we install, okay? So one thing that me and my wife decided to do from the beginning of this experience was not to make a big fuss about me being away. So I remember the first time we heard somebody saying telling our son, you miss dad, and yes, and this and that. Well, we caught this person on the side and we said, listen,
Exactly. Yeah.
you don't do that. We don't do that. Okay, so we don't make a big fuss about it. We talk a lot. I tell him things about my business. I describe my friends. He knows my friends by name. He knows Christy, Octavian, Okan, Javier, you know, Jerry. He knows the names. I have chosen to give to him, you know, given this opportunity, to inspire him to become a citizen of the world himself. And to tell him that the fact that he was born in Athens or wherever else shouldn't be taking his pride for being Greek or whatever, but should not, you know, limit his options in life. And that it's nice, it's very cool when you can travel, when you can meet new people, you can do business in several parts of the world, when you can open up to new, you know, ways of thinking, civilizations. You grow, because it's such a pity to spend a lifetime like 100 years ago in your neighborhood, right? Why?
When you have so many options today to travel, and there are from the cheapest to the most expensive, as you wish.
Go out there, meet people. They are waiting for you.
Yeah.
People are waiting for you. There is somebody waiting for you, who you will never realize who he is until you go there. And this can be an amazing friend, you know. My best friends today are here in Bucharest. I didn't know these guys before I came here. But, you know, and honestly, if I had to go back, if I had to leave Romania, which I hope will not be the case, but I'm not very sure I would choose to go back to Athens. Although I don't have a choice because my wife has a very nice career there. If that wasn't the case, I would choose another city, another country to go and live. And maybe move again after 10 years, I don't know. Why? That's my question. Why? Okay, we all happen to be born somewhere. Hopefully, and we're very lucky, we were born in beautiful parts of the world, right? And we grew up normally and everything. But we don't have to live the rest of our lives in the neighborhood. Let's go out. Let's see the world, you know?
Yeah. I think the answer for my next question will be also in this, but maybe there is something more. How and where do you take your inspiration? How you recharge your batteries? What are the ways that are important for you to keep going, to be always fresh?
Okay, the first thing is I'm grateful. By the way, today I think it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah, although we don't celebrate in Greece Thanksgiving, but I saw on Facebook.
But it's international, so everybody knows it.
I think that it's very important for all of us to know the things that we are grateful for in life. And that goes for everything. That goes, number one, for our health. Number two, for being here, waking up in the morning, and all these things, you know. So definitely one of my batteries is gratefulness. Also, the people around me give me energy. With their ideas, with their everything, with the simple interaction, you know. The things I learn give me energy. The new books I'm reading, a TED video, anything. This interview here, which, again, I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
It's our pleasure.
Everything. I think happiness in life is a choice. It's not an accident. And when people realize that it is our choice to be happy, then we seek for that happiness everywhere. And you know, there is happiness and something good, even to very negative things. I don't include health, to be honest. But there is always something good. A very good friend of mine who was living in Romania for many, many years, and now he's in the States, Sonny, he said in one school visit, he said, there is this quote, what is the difference between the right attitude and the wrong attitude in life? And I really believe that. He said, with the wrong attitude, life happens to you. And with the right attitude, life happens for you.
Exactly.
And that is a choice. Yeah. So we can have the same morning, and I can choose to be miserable, and you can choose to be joyful. And we have the same morning, we have the same job, we have the same, let's assume we have the same everything. It's a choice. And it's another thing we're trying to tell the kids. Don't allow excuses in your lives, you know? I can find 1 million excuses.
For anything, for not waking up, for not eating healthy, for anything.
This is the key to a mediocre life. Mm-hmm. That's not, I mean, you are dead and you don't know. You're just breathing. No excuses. Just, you know, anything is a choice. Anything. Success is a choice. Money is wealth is a choice. Everything. Love is a choice. Everything is a choice.
So you don't believe in luck?
There's another favorite quote. Luck is where good preparation meets the opportunity. I love that, you know? So yes, of course there is luck, but what is luck? I mean, luck is what, if you are well prepared about something, you get, I use this expression, you get new eyes. Mm-hmm. So you can see different things, more things. So you can see an opportunity that's passing
that others don't see.
That you wouldn't be able to see before. So shall we call it luck? Okay, let's do it. Of course, yes. I consider myself very lucky. But not in casino. I don't go to casinos, you know. I am lucky in what I believe is important for my life. I'm lucky with the people I meet. I'm lucky with the family I have. I'm lucky with what I consider to be key in my life. And luck is a choice. Luck is a state of mind, you know.
This is the good answer, because in Romania we always choose to say that he's very wealthy or he is very famous, he was lucky. No, it's not about luck. It's about choice.
Yep.
It's about what I choose to do every day. I can choose to wake up at 5, or I can choose to sleep until 9. I can choose to work and do something to construct something, or I can choose just to be miserable and to be always complaining and saying that nothing is good in my life. So here it comes the word with luck. If you choose a good path, you'll have opportunities.
I completely agree. I have, this summer was the World Championship, FIFA, and both me and my son were football fans, and we were watching the final. And at some point, I don't know if you know Mbappé, he's a French player, young one, and he received, I think, the award for the best player of the tournament, and my son said, lucky one, you know? And I turned to him and said, listen, you know, maybe he's not that lucky. Of course he's talented, but you know, many days that other people his age were on holidays or were going out, this guy was practicing. Mm-hmm. Maybe he has changed his life completely to be there today. Nothing happens by accident, you know? There are some things that he did differently. So, yeah, it's easy for all of us to say, you were lucky.
Because like this, you don't have to question yourself.
Exactly.
You don't have to ask yourself if you did the same choices or not, or you did the good ones. It's easier to say he was lucky, I was not.
Exactly. And by the way, apropos, this is what happens today with the world. Why do we see all this populism around us? It's because of that fear. Mm-hmm. We all know deep inside, that we need to change. And we need to change fast.
Yeah.
Because we are afraid to change, what do, most of us? We listen to people who tell us, let me take you 10 years back.
Yeah.
Which of course, we know it's impossible, but
because it gives you time not to change.
We get the illusion that we may skip change. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the news are that nobody will escape that.
No, for sure. You know. But I think it's a good thing also, because these are years from my perspective that are very nice for the ones that want to change something. You have so many opportunities, you can learn so much. You have to want it, otherwise you can do it. Just wish it. So from my point of view, it's the same crisis, because now we are, the market, the life is choosing who is staying and is going up and who is going down, because it's a matter of choice again.
You know, Mariana, I think that was always the case. You know, we human beings, in every generation, we have the vanity of believing that whatever happens in humanity happens the first time now. Well, it's not true, you know. I mean, in different versions, the same things were discussed in another... yes, it's a loop, exactly. So I'm sure we're facing a different version of similar challenges that other generations faced. Today, we believe things are happening faster. If we read articles from the first industrial revolution, some people back then were saying, oh my God, things are going so fast, which today is like, this is how it works, you know, this is human nature. And this is the beauty of it by the end of the day.
Yeah. You said you are reading e-books or paper? I'm an old school guy, so I prefer paper. I'm the guy who smells the paper. So I grew up with a father who was reading a newspaper every day. I will never forget that about my father. It's a very nice way of living every day. I love this idea of reading every morning a newspaper.
Yeah, I cannot claim that I do that every day, but from him I learned the contact with paper, the printed paper, you know. And so I'm trying as much as I can to read. There are so many great books and so little time.
Do you have a favorite until now? Do you have somebody that you are following more than usual, even if it's a book or just, I don't know, podcasts?
Depends on the mood. I have different moods, okay? Yeah. So there is a time for a business book, corporate reading, your business reading. There is time for fiction. My favorite, there is an author who's dead now, in a Greek one, who wrote many detective stories, and he's my favorite, Maris. And you know, he has this character who's an inspector, police inspector, Inspector Bekas, and he solves mysteries and this and that. What I love about him is that he has his own way of getting you into it's like you live in Athens of 1970.
So he gets in that story.
Yes. You know, the images that he creates, that helps you create, are amazing. So whenever I feel like usually in the summer, that's my reading. And I read over and over his books, you know. When it comes to business books, I like to read things that get me out of my comfort zone, that help me to see a different perspective about something, which sometimes I take under consideration, some other times I don't. But I have to admit that the most incredible things happen when I reread the book after 1, 2, 3 years.
Because you change the way you see things.
You discover new things. It's like you're reading a completely new book. And this is where you realize how much you have changed. Now I'm rereading Think and Grow Rich, which is, you know, a classic.
Yeah, it's one of the most recommended, oldest and classic books.
We are giving this book as a gift, as a welcome gift to all the new members of the club, right? I think by now we have distributed more than 1,000 Think and Grow Rich books. I read it many years ago. Accidentally, I started reading it 3 weeks ago, and I'm halfway and I have realized 10 different things.
You see other things. Yeah.
Because I have different eyes, you know? And I think this is amazing. Same with Rich Dad and Poor Dad, or...
These are the classic ones. I think everybody in this business area has been through this book, or at least heard about
Yes,
it.
yes, yes.
It's impossible not to know
Yeah.
it. And you think that they are so old that they are not in our times, they are not real in 2011, 2019. But you read them and you say, listen, it's a small thing, but I didn't think about it until now. I didn't realize how important it can be.
But you know, I only now realized Napoleon Hill, in his introduction, he talks about neuroscience without knowing. I mean, he doesn't mention the word because the term wasn't existing. But practically, he's talking about neuroscience. He talks about synchronicity. Dale Carnegie was talking about the higher self.
And Dale Carnegie's very old.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, the essence of learning, wisdom is one thing. It's like religion. Religions are practically all referring to one thing.
Exactly.
It's just that different people
in different places
gave it different characters, you know, different. So everything comes down to the same principles. Think about some of the bestsellers of the last 20 years in self-helping and stuff like that. The Secret, or Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist. More or less, they are talking about the same thing. So what Think and Grow Rich was talking about in the 50s, then there was another book in the 60s, and then in the 70s, and then the 80s. And every 10 years, somebody is presenting in a nice, very good way the same concept. And I think this is great because it inspires more people and more people and more people. So, but the essence of wisdom is the same, it's common.
Yeah.
A very nice book that was recommended to me by my friend Radu recently is Beyond Religion by Dalai Lama. I haven't read it yet, but he highly recommended it, and I trust him. So I'm about to buy it these days.
I'm a fan of Dalai Lama, so I have to search it.
Yeah, as I understood, he makes a connection between religion and spirituality and technology.
He's very present, Dalai Lama. He's not the type of the people that are talking about church. Usually are the ones that they don't connect real life with church, with God, with anything. Dalai Lama is very present. He connects, he's always doing interviews online, he's podcasting, he's very, very here in present. And that's why I think he's so loved and everybody is crazy about him.
Yeah. I hope he's not listening because maybe he won't like what I will say now, but I think he's a very cool guy.
Yeah.
He must be a very cool guy.
He is. I had the honor of meeting him.
Okay.
And it's one of the people that made the biggest impact in my life until now, for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't think that he is so powerful by his presence, but for sure, because he's so easygoing and funny and present, he's going into your skin, into your blood. And everybody, when you leave a meeting with him, you cannot say, I didn't like him. It's impossible to do this.
No, look, nobody is where they are by accident, you know, I mean.
For sure.
You go through so many tests in life that if you are a fake, then you disappear at some point.
Authenticity is one of the most important things.
And what we realize when the very, very few times that people in this part of the world, like me and you, we get to meet such caliber, high caliber people, is exactly that. Think about it. What do people say about these people? You know, I was surprised how cool he was and how normal he was and this and that. And you know, and I think that must tell us something.
This is the lesson of getting there that point, for sure.
At the end of the day, it's about giving, it's about sharing, it's about being yourself as much as you can. Of course, you cannot be yourself all the time. It would be really awkward, but you know, as much as we can, we need to do that, to be open.
As much as we don't disrupt others. It's very good to be you, as much as you don't get to where others...
And this is the interpretation of respect, right? What is respect? Respect is not bringing the other person to a difficult spot. As long as you don't do that, this is respect, this is love, this is, basic principles of life.
1 hour interview expired, unfortunately.
Already?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
I told you it's not so much and it's passing very fast. It was a really big pleasure finding out so many things and seeing that I know that Romanians and Greek people are the same in a lot of things and that we have a very good relationship, but seeing people that really believe in Romania and really do something for this country, it's an honor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The honor is mine for inviting me here. I had a super time.
Hoping to see you again.
Okay.
Maybe with projects that CEO Club has, so that we can do this, give inspiration to others also.
Gladly.
As much as we can, because this is our mission for sure, and this is what you do every day. Thank you again for your time. Mulțumim frumos pentru că ați fost alături de noi. Dacă vreți să aflați mai multe despre Sotiris, despre proiectele pe care le desfășoară, găsiți foarte multe informații în mediul online. Cred că este unul din acei oameni care participă la binele României. Căutăm în continuare oameni din această categorie și vă asigur că avem o listă foarte lungă pe care abia așteptăm să o tot prezentăm și să venim cu câte o nouă pastilă în fața voastră. Vă dorim multă inspirație și vă așteptăm cu un nou episod Inspiring Stories.